Hey guys, welcome back. In this video tutorial, I'm going to be covering Java loops. Pretty much the same thing in any other programming language, just I'm going to be covering it inside of Java for people that want to learn. So we're going to go ahead and just create a new project, name loops. Inside of loops, we're going to create a new class. We'll just name it loops. And so right off, we're going to have our public static void main. And you should already know that from previous tutorials, or just know that off the bat. And so what a loop is something that will do an operation as many times as you specify inside of a loop. So say you want to print something out, and that's what we're going to do in this video tutorial. We're just going to print something out, and we're going to print out this is a printout. So say we want to do this 10 times. If we were go ahead and run this now, it would just print it out once, and that would be it, and it would just close. And that's not really what you want, and a loop would solve that, and it would allow you to iterate through the loop as many times as you specify, and it will do whatever inside of the brackets of the loop as many times as you have specified. So the first one we'll do is just a simple for loop. The way you do that is for int, and you create a variable int x. I'll just name it. It's a common name for a loop, or I is also a common name, and we'll just set it equal to 0, and then you have a semicolon, and then while I is less than 10, we're gonna have another semicolon, x plus plus, and I said I, excuse me, I meant x. And then after that, x plus plus, I'll go ahead and explain this after. We're just gonna have brackets around this system.out.print, and I'm gonna change this to print line. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run this, and you see it has printed it out, and that's 10 times. So what this is saying is create a new variable, setting it equal to 0, and while that new variable, which is now 0, so while 0 is less than 10, it's gonna do this, and then once it's done with this, it's gonna add to the variable, so it's gonna be now 1, and then it's gonna check if 1 is less than 10, and then repeat as many times as it needs to for this to become false. And it's basically just a Boolean expression for the middle value here, and obviously it starts at 0 because we have it here. So if we were to print out x with this, you would notice it only goes up to 9 and starts at 0, and that's because we started at 0 and we're saying while it's less than 10. So it's not while it's less than or equal to, because that would make it 11 because we're also starting at 0, but you could change this to 1 and then less than or equal to 10, and then that would be exactly 10, and I'll show you that. So it starts at 1 and then goes to 10, and that's correct. Now there's other types of loops, like a while loop, and you have while and then a Boolean expression here, x is less than, say, 10 or something, but we're not able to define the variable inside of here, and that's kind of not what we want. So we're gonna have to create the variable outside. So I rarely use while loops. I usually use for loops, and because they're very convenient. So you know, in x and then while, it's going to be the same thing, except if we were to run this now, it would just keep going, as you see, because if you think about it, we've never actually added another 1 onto this variable named x, so this is always staying true because we're never incrementing the value of x. So at the end of the loop, you need to do x plus plus, and that will add and do the same thing as the for loop. And one thing I forgot to mention is you can have as much stuff in here as you want, different values or function calls, or method calls rather, and just a ton of stuff you can have in here, as much as you want, and it will iterate through doing it each time as well. And one more loop I do want to cover is a do while loop. I'm just going to copy this so you'll see why in a second. So we're going to say do, and then after that curly brace we're going to do while, and end it with a semicolon. So basically this is the same thing, except it's going to do it once before it even checks if it is. So it's going to do it once no matter what. So you still get the same output, but if you were to have a different, I can't think of an occasion right now where you'd have that, but if you were to have a certain way in here, then it'd be totally different, because it's going to do it once without even checking, and then once it gets down to the end here, it's going to check, and if this is true, it's going to go back up and repeat it until this is false at the end of the whole loop. So hopefully you get what I'm saying, and there's other things you can do with for loops and stuff, but again, I'll cover that in another tutorial. You've probably seen it maybe in the Java series that I created before, in the Java Shooter series. I'm pretty sure I used it in that. But anyways, I'll probably cover that in another video tutorial. Be sure to check out for that new series coming out with Java on the Java Swing. I hope to get that out depending on when you're watching this tomorrow, since the date that you see this video up on YouTube. But this video is getting a little long, guys, so thanks for watching, and let's program.